As we predicted, Sean Strickland put out a video on social media where he made a slew of excuses for his pathetic performance at UFC 312 against Dricus Du Plessis, where he flat out refused to fight for 5 rounds. And in this video that we're going to take a look at in a second, he says most likely Eric Nicksick will not be in his corner anymore. So Sean Strickland is so butthurt that Eric Nicksick called him out on Ariel Helwani's show that he is now ditching Eric Nicksick, the guy that got him to a UFC middleweight title. To summarize this all up, we're going to look through a bunch of different clips. Essentially, Eric Nicksick and Sean Strickland are beefing over Sean Strickland sucking at UFC 312. That's essentially the synopsis of the scenario. But I never thought that Sean Strickland would say, yeah, Eric Nicksick's probably not going to be in my corner anymore, and then go into a laundry list of excuses for why he lost at UFC 312 and say, man, I broke my nose, a DDP broke my nose, and I reset it 3 times for you guys. I mean, the 4-minute video that he put out on social media, we're going to look about maybe 2.5 minutes of it, 3 minutes maybe, was one of the most pathetic post-fight excuse smorgasbords I have ever seen in my entire life. Now, we're going to start off with Eric Nicksick on Ariel Helwani's show. I've already covered this in a full video, so I'm only going to show you like 2 or 3 clips from this interview with Ariel Helwani. But essentially, Eric Nicksick went on Ariel Helwani's show and answered questions honestly about Sean Strickland's horrible performance in his undeserved title shot against Dricus Du Plessis. We're going to start off at the very beginning of the interview. Check this out. Listen to this. This is what got Sean all butthurt, which we're going to take a look at his reaction here in a second. Listen to this.
What do you make of what happened on Saturday night or Sunday in Sydney? What do you make of your guys' performance in the fight now a couple of days later?
Oh, it was just uninspired fighting to me. It just seemed like he was sleepwalking, you know? Yeah, it was tough, man. I was just trying to dig him out of it, you know, through the rounds. I didn't know if he was trying to collect data in the beginning or if it was just a slow start or what was going on. But, you know, as the rounds began to progress, I can just tell that it just didn't feel like he was in it the way most of the times that he is. So, yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough 25 minutes to travel all the way out there, you know, and like, man, let's not forget this is a title fight, and I take these title fights very seriously, and you know, just I don't know, I was just disappointed, man. I was disappointed with the whole entire outcome, the whole fight as a process. Just thought it.
So I'm just going to zoom through this real quick because I've already covered this in a previous video, which I will link down in the description. But I'm just going to show you the most important clips that Sean Strickland's really upset about. And Sean said something in his response that I could not believe that he said about Eric Nicksick, by the way. But we'll get to that in a second. Another clip.
It's kind of checked out. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like, you know, you're grasping at straws at that point. You're just trying to get him to do something. And like, you know, like my dad used to always say in football, is like, you got to get something, get the band playing, right? Get the crowd and get motivated, get the momentum on your side again, you know? So I'm asking for anything. You know, the jab and the teep aren't going to win the fight. You know, it's like if you have a predictable offense and you run this slow paced offense in football and you get down by 30, you don't have the ability to come back and win those games, right? Like you just don't have the ability to come back and win those types of games. So you have to take risks. You have to make something creative happen. You know, and just jabbing and teeping your way to a comeback win wasn't there. So it's like, dude, find a same side head kick, throw some knees up the middle, so throw something different that's not predictable to what Dricus has seen for the last 9 rounds. You know, so we have to mix it up.
I wish I could play the corner footage from UFC 312. Nicksick is literally begging Sean Strickland to fight. He's like, Sean, we got to throw something else. This is too predictable. You're just jabbing and teeping. And Sean's like getting pissed at him for giving him corner advice because Sean had quit before even the first bell sounded. So, of course, Eric Nicksick is going to be upset and embarrassed because at the end of the day, Sean Strickland is a reflection on his coaching abilities. And him going out there and shitting the bed and refusing to fight in an undeserved title shot looks poorly upon him. And then the last clip I really think is what probably upset Sean Strickland, who is an insecure beta male soy boy, where Ariel asked him, look, are you kind of alluding to like maybe you would stop coaching him? Because he's basically saying Sean's just showing up for a paycheck. Listen to this.
If this is the type of performance that we are set to see from Sean in the future, do you not want to coach him anymore? Do you not want to work with him anymore?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment that I would have to sit down with Sean and talk to him about, right? Like, you know, where can my services be of help for?
That's definitely Sean saying, man, to the death, I'm going to bleed for you guys, man. We're going to go to war, you guys. And then going out and jabbing it deep and like he does every time.
For you. You know, I think as a coach, you get credit for things you don't do essentially as much, and you get the blame for things.
This is the most significant strike that Sean Strickland landed the entire UFC 312 fight week. Okay.
You might not do as well. So you got to be right there in the middle. But in situations like this where your motivations might change, and if that's the case, if his motivations have changed to something different, where it's like, hey, I prefer to fight for money or a paycheck, and it's not to be the best or be a world champion, then yeah, I think as a coach and fighter, we should sit down and have that conversation. And you know, I love him, man. He's a great teammate. He's a great guy. You guys heard me say that time and time again. But you know, if your fights aren't to be the best in the world and they're for money, then that's not really what I'm looking for. I want to compete against the best. I want to win world titles, and you know, that's my main focus and goal.
If you're going to show up, the translation for that is, that's the polite way of saying, if you're going to show up and just fight to not take any damage just to collect a paycheck, that's not what I'm looking for, because that's embarrassing me as a coach, because now everyone's like, what the hell did I pay for this pay-per-view for? And by the way, I said this in the other video, Sean Strickland can never talk about Chimaev being a scam artist ever again, because Sean scammed everyone that bought a ticket to the event. Sean scammed everyone that bought the pay-per-view because he quit before the fight even started. Now, Sean put out this video on social media. It's about 4 minutes long. I'll link the tweet down in the description if you want to go check out the video in its entirety. I'm going to show you the most important parts here. But listen to the very beginning here. He says, look, Eric Nicksick probably won't be in my corner again. This man was taken to a title shot by Eric Nicksick and won a title against a drunk Israel Adesanya. And now a little bit of criticism. I don't think anything Eric Nicksick said on the MMA Hour was like over the line. It was surprising to me, but I don't think it was over the line, especially considering Sean Strickland's one of these guys, man, I'm unfiltered, man. I'm going to say whatever I want, man. Then Dricus calls him out and talks a little bit of trash. He goes and cries on Theo Von's podcast. Eric Nicksick says some things that aren't really flattering to him on Ariel Helwani's show. He goes and cries on social media. It's the perfect encapsulation of the beta male soy boy, insecure, pathetic man that Sean Strickland is. And listen to the very beginning of this.
All right, guys, keep tagging me about this whole Eric thing, and goddamn it, because I like Eric. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. We have so many great guys at Extreme, Nate, Ray Cepho. We have so many savages that I would love to corner me.
He doesn't want Eric Nicksick in his corner anymore. How crazy is that? The guy that took him to a title, he does not want to be in his corner. Listen to it again.
Like Eric, he's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. We have so many great guys at Extreme, Nate, Ray Cepho. We have so many savages that I would love to corner me. But, you know, man, that entire fight camp was just a struggle. Like, it was a fucking struggle.
Now he launches into the excuses. And let me just get ahead of some of the comments of the, you know, small fan base that Sean Strickland has left. By the way, what is this random, like, hair on the top of his head? That's what I want to know. You know, he's got the pedo mustache, like father, like son. What's this random hair on the top of his head? But anyway, that's besides the point. I regress, as Sean Strickland would say. He immediately jumps into the excuses. And I'm going to just get ahead of some of the comments of the Sean Strickland fanboys that still do exist. If you say, I'm not making excuses, followed by a bunch of excuses, that doesn't change the fact that you made a bunch of excuses. So let's get into it.
Struggle. And guys, we all have excuses as to why we didn't win or why we won and we shouldn't have won. We all fucking have excuses, and they don't fucking matter.
So saying that doesn't change the fact that Sean makes about 17 and a half excuses for losing to DDP.
The only reason why I'm making this video is because Eric had to go do a fucking podcast and become an influencer. So now I got to, like, all right, kind of explain myself.
I'm trying to let this play through because I know some of you guys get annoyed when I pause it too much. Can you believe this guy is such a hypocrite. This guy, listen to what he just said here.
Is because Eric had to go do a fucking podcast and become an influencer. So now I got to all right, kind of explain myself.
I could break something in my office right now. I say it all the time. People say, "Oh, Joey, you're angry about this, or you're angry about that, or so and so called you this, so and so called you that, or we're trolling and we got Joey angry." Blah blah blah. The number one thing that actually angers me is things that make absolutely no sense. Sean Strickland is the biggest wannabe influencer I have ever seen in my entire life. He says outlandish things to get attention. He sucks off politicians for attention. He has this whole right-wing grifter gimmick, and that's the only way he's acquired fans. He wants to be this internet personality. This dude sits on Twitter, Instagram, and just social media in general, and he craves the attention. He loves the press conferences. He loves to say, oh, don't ask me those questions. Let's talk about something a little bit more controversial. He's constantly, what's the word for it? Clip farming, I think is what I just recently became familiar with that term. This man is constantly trying to clip farm. But yeah, did you guys like that, man? Hamzat is a Chechen whore, man. We're going to go to war for you. He has the audacity to say Eric Nicksick was a wannabe influencer because he went on Ariel's show and answered questions honestly. That drives me nuts. It makes absolutely no sense. He's just mad that Eric spoke the truth. And it's funny because this is Mr. Freedom of Speech, brother. I don't like brown people, brother. Yeah, I hate trans people, brother. Ain't no homophobia up on this stage. We got lesbians up here, according to Dana White. As Sean trashes women's fighters. In that case, it was lesbian women's fighters. Wei put on a way better performance than Sean put on. But this dude has the audacity to say Eric Nicksick's a wannabe influencer. Let's carry on. I regress. Again, I'm going to be saying that in this video. That's what Sean says. So I'm just going to quote him.
Opportunity. And not just with fighting. Opportunity never comes when it's supposed to. It doesn't matter what the circumstances, what the situation is. You will never wake up and say, no, today is the perfect day for opportunity. It will come at the worst fucking time. It will come at the worst time. And how many times it comes and you raise your hand and you say, you know what, I'm fucking ready. A lot of times you fail. A lot of the times you fail. But a lot of times you don't fail. And it's you must say yes. This is not an excuse, but that entire camp was just a struggle of I'm good. Knowing you're not good.
I knew this was coming. I wasn't ready. I wasn't good. I knew I wasn't. Dude, you sat out for what? He fought in June against Paulo Costa, right? I believe that was early June off the top of my head. You had 7 months after a boring-ass split decision win against Paulo Costa where you took almost no damage. You did almost no damage, and you refused to fight anyone else for 7 months just so you could cash in your Dana White privilege and get an undeserved title shot, but yet you weren't ready. You weren't ready. You said you were good, but you weren't ready. Let's listen to excuses. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of excuses.
I was in Colombia 8 weeks out, 7 weeks out, and getting stem cells on a broken bone. Again, bone healed fine, no excuse. It just kind of weighs in the back of your head. I was training with that Ritter guy, the submission guy, and he hit me with a whizzer. It was already broken. And dude, I thought my arm fucking snapped. I thought my arm snapped. It's I got to go to Colombia. This is fucked.
I can't get over this hair on his head. Look at this. I don't know how well you guys can see that. It's literally like a unicorn. Rainer Day Ritter broke my arm. That's why I refused to fight for 25 minutes. I had to go to Colombia. It healed up, but it was still in the back of my mind. There's more.
But all camp, this is just in the back of your head. And you just keep telling yourself, I'm fucking good. And I think this is just what all men do. All men do this. You look in the mirror and even though you know you're not good, you're I'm fucking good, dude. You're a fucking man. You sack up. But all camp, dude, whether it be, the staph infection, the broken arm, the having to get a visa that didn't get approved until a week, not being able to get cornermen out there.
if you watch this channel with any regularity, you knew I was having my doubts. I'm like, it's been a few days. Sean hasn't made the excuses yet. I talked about it in the Eric Nicksick video I did from 2 days ago. I knew Sean was going to go out there, put on a pathetic performance, lose the DDP, and have a slew of excuses. I mean, how many excuses is that? I broke my arm even though it was healed. I went to Colombia and got it stem cells, and it was healed, but it was in the back of my mind. Everything, opportunity didn't come at the right time. My cornerman, my visa, my staph infection. I mean, how many excuses? What other excuses is he going to have? I mean, seriously. I was having flashbacks of my childhood because DDP trashed me. Dude, go cry book another opportunity on Theo Von's podcast and go have another cry. Let's listen to all these excuses again.
The staph infection, the broken arm, the having to get a visa that didn't get approved until a week, not being able to get cornerman out there. This entire camp was like a struggle of I'm not good, but me looking in the mirror and saying sack up. And man, nothing away from Dricus. He came there, fought his ass off, fucking broke my nose. Like, dude, fucking hell yeah, man. Like, hats off. Did you fight like a fucking man?
Hell yeah, Dricus, you whooped me. But man, my visa didn't get approved till the week before the fight. I had trouble getting cornermen out there. Sean was in the... It doesn't matter if you had cornermen. Eric Nicksick was begging you just to fight back. He's like, please, Sean, fight back. Do anything, Sean. You're too predictable. All you're doing is jabbing and teeping. He's complaining about not having cornermen. He had a dude that didn't speak English. He had his head coach who he refused to listen to. He was actually getting aggravated while Eric Nicksick was trying to give him advice. But continue.
But, you guys, I don't fight to put belts on the wall. I don't fucking fight because, Eric wants to go do a fucking fancy podcast. That's not why I fight.
He's acting like he's made Eric Nicksick. Like, yeah, man, Eric Nicksick's a made man because of me. Big Eric Nicksick's a made man because of me. He wouldn't be able to go on any of these podcasts without me. Oh, I have a feeling there might be a falling out. Maybe not. But Sean's just a sensitive little pansy who's a massive hypocrite when he talks all this trash about someone's family and, calls DDP slurs, and then DDP fires back, and Sean goes and cries and tries to get him canceled. Now Eric Nicksick, with his First Amendment freedom of speech, brother, even though it has nothing to do with the government, but you get my point. That's what Sean's always trouting out whenever he says ridiculous things. And Sean's known for his unfiltered personality. Now Nicksick said a couple sentences that were unflattering to Sean in a 30-minute interview, and this dude's crying on social media about it. Okay. Well, we're going to skip ahead, okay? We're going to skip ahead because I want to save you the spiel of Sean, man. Like, man, you got to be a man, man. You weren't a man. You weren't a man. Let's listen to some more.
I fucking love it. I got a lot of fights left on my contract. I love fighting. I'm going back to the gym. I'm working my ass off, and I'm starting from fucking square one. And that's just kind of how life is, dude. Like, you'll always get a step back where you're like, all right, well, I got to start over again. And you have a choice. You either sack up and you do it, or you fucking quit. And I'm going to sack up and do it. And you know what? Fuck you guys. I broke my nose like fucking 3 times in that round. And every single time, I didn't quit. I didn't go sit on the stool and say, hey, my nose is broken. I can't fight. I adjusted every fucking time. And I thought, man, maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe I won't. But
yeah, you're not going to get lucky. We weren't lucky either. We bought the pay-per-view. In America, it's $80 for a pay-per-view. The broken nose excuse is really driving me nuts because the broken nose happened 18 minutes into a 25-minute fight when Sean did nothing up until that point anyway. And it makes absolutely no sense. Like, I see people saying, like, oh, Luke Rockhold quit and blah, blah, blah after his teeth were chipped in BKFC and he's being critical of Sean. Sean quit before the fight started. He may have made it 25 minutes, but he quit before the fight even started. He didn't try to fight at all. It was just like Colby against Leon Edwards. Didn't try to fight at all. It's crazy, a common theme. Dana White privilege, undeserved title shot means you go out there and embarrass yourself and shit your pants. And I guess you also happen to be a Donald Trump sycophant. And now afterwards, you're complaining about your coach who you humiliated at UFC 312 after you sat out for damn near 7 months to wait for an undeserved title shot on a shit card, only to say, man, staph infection, my cornerman, and Eric Nicksick wants to be on a podcast like he made Eric Nicksick famous. That's essentially what he's getting at. He seemed like he was going to cry in this video. DDP just whooped him, man. Daddy Du Plessis, that's his new nickname for Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland's got to call him Daddy Du Plessis now. Whooped him, and Sean offered nothing in resistance. Offered nothing back. Didn't try to put up a fight. Just let DDP impose his will. It was one of the most humiliating performances I've seen. And now that he's making a laundry list of excuses and saying, man, Eric Nicksick's not going to be in my corner anymore, it's getting more humiliating. I hope there's more to come so I can cover it on this channel because, as you guys know, I look at situations objectively, okay? People say, oh, you're biased against this. But don't get me wrong. My bias is making me enjoy this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I think this was a humiliating video. And if he ditches Eric Nicksick, he might as well go find a new place to train, honestly, at this point, because he needs to reinvent his entire game plans. I don't even know. He needs to get more weapons. Jabs and teeps aren't going to cut it, man. And if you don't like to hear that from Eric Nicksick, go train with Edmund Tarverdian. Okay, I'll see how far that gets you. Head movement. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you next time.